why Dalton being on the roster gives him peace. So, Skip, what percentage of this signing is about leverage for Dak negotiations, and then what percentage is just about having a quality backup?
Great question, Jenny. First of all, let me acknowledge all the beat writers who cover the Dallas Cowboys are all writing this is nothing but a backup quarterback signing. And my friend Michael Irvin said yesterday, don't even start with trying to push Andy Dalton as anything more than a backup quarterback. Well, forgive me, Michael Irvin, but I'm about to start because I'd already started before you spoke up. I believe this signing was 80% about leverage, 80%. Maybe 20% is the fallback of the backup position, but Jerry Jones was in desperate need of a catalyst in his stalemated, dead-ended negotiation with Dak Prescott. He needed a checkmate move. He needed a 1A threat to Dak to bring Dak back to the negotiating table. And people aren't seeing this the way I am. Shannon, Jerry pulled off the impossible move. I still can't believe it after 4 days, 5 days of sleeping on it. Jerry Jones went out and got a starting quarterback to be his backup. He got the best backup in pro football. He got an Andy Dalton who averaged winning 10 games a year in his first 5 years for the Bungles, the Cincinnati Bengals. And over those first 5 years, Andy Dalton averaged 25 touchdown passes a year. Let that sink in. Dak has averaged 24 touchdown passes through his first 4 years. Andy Dalton, 25 over his first 5. Andy Dalton's stats over his 9 years in the league, since he entered the league, are all top 10. Yards, completions, touchdown passes. He is really good. He's not been really good in the postseason, but right now, that doesn't matter because he's been really good as a starting quarterback. And all of a sudden, we look down at what's going on here. Well, Jerry, to land him with no salary cap room for a grand total of a base salary of $3 million a year, had to assure or convince or persuade Andy Dalton that this negotiation is in such trouble. It's in such a dangerous place. It's in such dire straits that there's a good chance that they're so far apart that Dak Prescott won't even sign the franchise tag, that he will go Le'Veon Bell into next real game football season. God help us that we have one. Schedule's going to be released tonight. But what if Dak starts to hold out real games? Well, he had Jerry completely over the barrel because Jerry's only threat was to say, I got Cooper Rush. You got Cooper Rush? He had thrown 3 NFL passes. He had completed 1 NFL pass for a grand total of 2 yards. That's Cooper Rush. And Shannon, it's the equivalent of, if you know Texas Hold'em, card game. The draw, it would be like Jerry's draw was the 2-7. That'd be the worst draw you could have in Texas Hold'em. 2-7. That's Cooper Rush. He's a 2-7. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Jerry pulls out of his sleeve a draw of ace-ace, or maybe, let's just say even ace-king. All of a sudden, you're back in business because if Dak does threaten to hold out, at least Dak now knows that Jerry ain't bluffing anymore with Cooper Rush. He doesn't have to bluff. He can just drop the hint. He's got Andy Dalton. And I'm not saying that Dak isn't better than Andy Dalton because he is better than Andy Dalton, but not that much better. Andy Dalton's good enough to win 10 games with this Cowboy offense and an upgraded defense and a new head coach in Mike McCarthy. As a Cowboy fan, I'm okay with Andy Dalton being my starting quarterback if need be going into next year. And then I don't even like to talk about this part of it, Shannon, but if in fact Dak is going to hold out all through whatever OTAs there are and all through training camp and all through whatever preseason we have, and let's just say, I don't know, they get a deal done or they don't. Let's just say he holds out and decides to play game number 1. Well, you know and I know, and I'm knocking on wood as I speak this, for once, Dak's injury risk would go way up because you haven't done anything football-wise, and now you think you're going to play a real game against a real team for real stakes. It's dangerous, and Dak is 64 for 64. He started every game that he ever could start in the NFL. He has never been hurt. He's been top of the list, most durable quarterback in pro football. But now Jerry and Steven have to wonder and worry, well, what if he's at more of a risk this year? At least we got Andy Dalton. But in the end, leverage-wise, Jerry had to sign Andy Dalton or sweet-talk him into signing for $3 million because now the threat of Andy Dalton, even the prospect of Andy Dalton being the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is going to make Dak a little more susceptible, if not a lot more susceptible, to compromise. I think it's going to bring Dak and his new agent back to the table, and maybe they can find a little more common ground because Andy Dalton is now waiting in the wings and Cooper Rush is now a backup for the New York Giants.
Skip, I believe you mentioned Texas Hold'em. I believe even if Jerry had a small, let's just say he had a pair of 8s, and Dak was sitting on Big Slick, which is Ace King, Dak is still slightly favored. So that's why I think, Skip, this was 60-40 about the situation that Dak can still have a slight chance of winning this hand. But this was why he did it, Skip. You can take back up all you want to. Jerry Jones, at least Jerry Jones has some leverage. It's not like, Skip, if nobody hits their card, if I got a pair and you got Ace King, Skip, I still win because you didn't pair anything else up. At least I got a pair. So Jerry has some leverage, but I still believe Dak has a winning hand. Because at the end of the day, Skip, the question is, yeah, you got a quality backup, but do you believe Andy Dalton can take you and win your ultimate goal? What's your ultimate goal, Skip? Is to get to and be playing. Where's the Super Bowl this year, Skip? Tampa? That's where you're trying to get to. At the end of the day, do you believe Andy Dalton can do that for you? Well, you believe Dak can do that. Dak is your guy. You've been riding with Dak. Now, you're a little out on Dak because Dak don't want to accept that little chicken feed Jerry throwing around. Yeah, Dak says no. That little chicken feed. So, Skip, look, we can the columnists and the reporters, they can report all they want to. But if you think for 1 second, Jerry Jones was not trying to gain leverage over Dak Prescott in this contract negotiation, because, Skip, it's harder to negotiate if somebody has an out. Well, if Tony Romo got what he got, Skip, because guess what? There was another network willing to pay him money. If they were not going to bid against themselves, somebody was willing to give Tony Romo a boatload of money. They knew that. So Jerry's like, man, Dak still has the upper hand. I ain't got nobody but Cooper Rush. Man, how am I going to sell that to the team? How am I going to sell that to the fans? I'm not going to give Dak his money because I believe Cooper Rush can do it. At least now, they're like, Andy Dalton did win 50 games in his first 5 years. He might have not won a playoff game, but Dak has only won one. His numbers overall in his first years are better than Dak's. So you can sell that to the team. You can sell that to your fan base.
Yep.
You can't sell Cooper Rush to nobody but his parents and his family and friends, to his family and friends. That's it. So he did do this to try to gain some leverage over Dak.
Thank you. So, for the record, I don't believe anybody can beat Tom Brady's Buccaneers in an NFC championship game in Tampa to get to the Super Bowl in Tampa. And as we speak, I believe Brady's Bucs will be playing a home NFC championship game to get to a home Super Bowl. That's my early prediction. And I don't think Dak Prescott could beat Tom Brady at Tampa in a championship game. That's just me right now. But
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Are you saying that if Tampa Bay and the Dallas Cowboys met in the NFC championship game, you taking the Buccaneers over your Cowboys?
I am.
Skip, you waited 25 years for this moment.
He's the GOAT. He's got Gronk and 2 Pro Bowl receivers and Bruce Arians and Tom Moore and Todd Bowles coaching the defense. It's just too much.
Goodness.
It's meant to be. It's Tampa Tom. You can't overcome that. That's too much. That's like karma has all come to rest against Bill Belichick in Tampa. I'm sorry. It's too much to overcome this year.
Skip, I love my homeboy. But I can't take him over the Ravens if they meet in the AFC Championship game as much as I think the Kansas. You mean to tell me the team that you've been rooting for since 1960, who hadn't been to the NFC Championship game in 25 years,